I wrote a book called Near Future, and I thought I would just read something out of the, it's a book of short stories. There's 5 of them. They're all near future stories, and each story has a different set of characters. Sometimes they interact. And this particular story, I was going to read a bit, and I'm already writing the second episodes of all these stories too, because I kind of really liked the characters. And you can listen to free audio video books, any of these stories, free audio video. I can give you the links. Oh, JennieMoench.com. If you go there, all my stuff is there, and you can go to Warrior Publications, and then there's the links on there too. So anyway, and I thought I would read the bit. This is the sex scene in this book, and but it's more of a comedy, really. But anyway, I hope it is. Okay, and this is about a guy. His name is Eric, and in this particular story, it's called Hive Mentality, and it really centers around. There's a counselor and 3 of his clients, and Eric is one of his clients. And Eric's problem, he sees as a counselor, is because he is like so connected to technology that he wears these AR, augmented reality lenses all the time. He can't go without them, sort of like how some people are with their phones, but he's constantly. So anyway, and he'd gotten robbed. And in fact, because he was preoccupied and he had those lenses on, he got robbed. And this is happening after he got robbed, and he's coming back home after he's, I don't know if he got his transporter back yet or not, but anyway. Eric came home to his wife being entertained by an interactive hologram. It was an up-and-coming fashion designer explaining to her his most recent line while displaying the garments on a faceless white model with her body. He frowned, wondering how much it was going to end up costing him. But with the most dashing smile he could summon, he moved behind her as she was sitting on the couch and actually touched her cheek with his lips. She pulled away. "What? I'm busy." "But darling, it's Friday. I wanted to show you my new app. I have to go with my new glasses." He tried to say this in a flirty way. He also was hoping to distract her from making another purchase. She turned towards him in her annoyed manner, but her gaze did hesitate on his face momentarily, just enough to be a sign of interest. "Maybe in a bit," she snapped, before returning her attention to the designer. "Ah, success," he ruminated before retreating to the master bath to freshen up. He couldn't remember ever having sex with his wife without them both wearing lenses. Those are the glasses. They each had favorite AR programs that they would exchange the other's body for their favorite celebrity. Everyone did it. And their partners never needed to know who the man or woman was that their partner had been fucking. On more than one occasion, he had Isabella resemble Marilyn Monroe. Bone technology was wonderful, since only he was able to hear what Hugh Hefner cheered him on in a gilded throne next to him. It made sex an adventure. After a quick shower, he threw on a fluffy white robe and then turned the water spigot on in their made-for-2 bathtub. He added some sweet-smelling crystals, then peeked into the living room as the tub was filling. His wife was still on the couch being entertained by a hologram, but he did note her glance his way as he was peeking at her. This encouraged him to find a cold glass of sparkling wine and offer it to her where she was sitting. He bent to her ear and whispered that he'd be waiting for her in the bath. She didn't reply or even meet his eyes, but he could tell she'd be joining him soon. He made himself comfortable in the tub with the rest of the bottle of wine on a small table nearby. There, by the bottle, was also a small metal tube with his favorite narcotic in a smokeless oil form. He wasn't a drug addict, but the hallucinogenic made his wife's high-pitched voice more tolerable, especially when it was paired with the body of Gigi Lepew, his new favorite starlet that he had chosen from a list in the new program that came with his new lenses. As he was laying back, eyes closed, his fantasy was interrupted when Gigi carefully glided her foot into the water beside him. Her body was fashionably slender. He oogled her as she settled into the tub in front of him. Her legs interlocked with his. She set her empty glass next to the bottle and grasped the metal tube, pulling it to her full red lips. He refilled her glass, barely taking his eyes off her as she inhaled deeply. Okay, so how about if you send me this new app of yours? She said, fingering her invisible to him lenses. He immediately located the program and sent her a copy. Instantly, she received it and began scanning her options. She took her time to make a decision. Sex with Eric had become boring, but maybe. She scrolled through the list of possibilities until she found one that made her smile. Eric watched her intently from the other side of the tub. He noted her smile and wondered what romantic option she had chosen. Okay, she announced cheerfully. Let's do this. She was giggling as she began to raise herself out of the tub. No, not yet, Eric cooed, gently grasping her ankle, which was much thicker than it appeared. Let me help you bathe first. She giggled again and drew another breath from the metal tube in her hand. He caressed her, moving her invisible silky tresses away from her neck, then mashing his nose into it a bit, as it wasn't quite where he expected. She laughed again as in her fantasy his long snout tickled her neck and made a snorting sound. She allowed him to rub a soapy sponge across her back and her front. It was hard for her to keep from giggling. Then when he stood up, she couldn't help but laugh uncontrollable as her favorite childhood cartoon pig, Hinky, was standing over her with a gigantic erection. Come, my darling, he grunted while offering a cloven hoof for her to hold as she stood up. She accepted it and carefully dried her dainty body with a white towel that had looked enormous before she began dabbing herself with it. The two mammals moved to the extra-large bed where Hinky began rooting around his side, leaning over the edge to reach a box that contained more of the narcotic-filled cylinders. Isabella spied his chubby pink ham hocks and couldn't help herself from sinking her teeth into the fluffy cheeks. The little piggy squealed shrilly, then wrestled with naughty Gigi to the mattress. They copulated with Eric, expertly thrusting Gigi as she had never been thrusted before, causing her to writhe and shout with ecstasy. Oink, oink, motherfucker! She squealed at the top of her lungs, all while laughing uncontrollably at the honks and farting noises that were coming out of the animated pig that she was having cross-species sex with, both ending their Friday night sex affair in complete satisfaction. Eric rolled over onto his pillow, spent. But as he lay there thinking about the experience, he looked over at Gigi, who was also hugging her pillow, and asked, Did I hear you say oink oink? He questioned timidly. Isabella shrugged. I don't know, with that annoyed voice that warned him that further questions could be detrimental to his well-being.